this hard?
Not really. Okay, given all the changes that you made, we now end up with a deficit of $281,881.17. Brilliant idea to resolve this, didn't come out, it's, we can do it, but it's got fraught with danger. We're gonna have to raise our utility rates, so we can reimburse the general fund for some of the utility work that was done. However, if we do that, we will not be eligible for grants or loans in the future. I don't have a time frame on what the future is, whether it's a year, 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. And it also we've got a USDA loan that puts that in jeopardy, and then we've got the grant now for $3.2 million. We've got a grant to do the lead line, assessment, and we've got 5 grant applications in for various things to assist the town.
That information is going by what you read, right? What you interpreted? Or is that someone
No,
else?
it's the way the school government interprets the statute.
Did you talk to the school or?
I did, I have an email. I did
Yeah,
today.
we got it in email, so.
I wanted it in writing,
But you
so.
don't know if it's including a timeline or futures, anything like that? I just find it odd that the school, or the government tells you that you have to go up on your rates before you can apply for grants, and then when you try and go up on your rates. they
No, it's
tell
not,
you-
it has nothing
No,
to do
it's
with
not,
rates.
not anything to do with going
It's
up on
transferring
rates.
money
That's what
from
I'm
the
saying,
utility
yeah.
fund into the general.
Right.
Which is generally frowned upon, although the town has had a habit of doing that over the years. Nobody said anything, and our audits are clean, so we're not talking about the past, we're talking about now. The
Bill,
way the school government's interpreting the statute, that's what will happen, we will be ineligible for grants and loans for some period of time.
Sorry, it does say, it does say that General Statute, 159G37 prohibits a local government from ever getting a state loan or grant for its water, wastewater, if it does such a transfer. So the word ever kinda nixes that.
Yeah, but to the Democrats, ever is like about 6 months.
Okay,
You know?
okay. I'm just telling you what I found out, so. I can ask her to clarify that. She's went on vacation, but she said she would watch for emails, so.
So given that piece of lovely news, this was a little spreadsheet that I've worked up, it's been modified, again, thanks to Sandy, to run out scenarios of tax increases that would get us to break even. I'll let you look at it for a minute.
Oh, Bill, you have, oh yeah, you have a copy, okay.
If you wanna hand those extras out, you go ahead and gallery them.
If you go about halfway across the page, you'll see bold, in the column, pretty close to the bottom, says $2,068.72. That equates to, if you look above it, or right below it, sorry. Right below it, that says .0088, that's an 88-cent tax. We're at 40. So that would be a significant increase. That breaks us even at that point, just slightly over. Gives us no room for anything. What's in the budget is in the budget and assumes 100% collection on tax, property taxes, which is not gonna happen. We're averaging 90 to 93%. So we've become more aggressive on collecting back taxes. That has had some advantages, but that's next year's advantage for last year. So last year's taxes, if you look at them, we're up to like 96% collection, but that's last year, that's not the year 23, that's the previous fiscal year. So, we're we're chasing our tails at this point. And I go back to the tax decrease, it was so significant, going from 52 to 40, that it puts you in a deficit position. The next year, it puts you in a further deficit position. This year, it keeps compounding, and it will keep compounding until you do something.
Just to clarify what you're saying, is that there was a decrease in tax per person?
Our property taxes decreased from 52 cents per
Property
hundred.
tax percentage, because, I mean, it went down because the appraisals went up.
And
Yes,
COVID.
but you didn't, as far as I can tell, going back to the minutes, the only rationale was the county doubled the property tax value, or property value, so we're gonna go back to 40 cents.
So why did
But
my
they
tax
didn't double.
personally go up?
So because your value went up,
Right, so the same amount of money
But-
was still collected. Yeah.
but you're not,
But
you're
the
not,
same amount of money was still collected here,
no,
yes?
okay, I won't.
Okay, explain to me how it wasn't.
I can tell you that the decrease in the property taxes without any corresponding decreases in services has created a problem. The next year, the decrease in property tax from the year before without a corresponding decrease in services has created a compounded problem. This year, same thing. We're gonna have to dump something, or we're gonna have to increase wages.
You say dump something, what are some of the options?
We've got a whole budget for, we cannot do any road repairs, so they take all that money out of there. We can eliminate public works department, if you're not doing, no offense, Gary. But that doesn't take much out, it takes out.
Well, we don't, none of Gary's salary is in that, only the 1/2 FTE Public Works worker. I put him all in 818 on Fund 30 so that we could save some money in Fund 10.
So the proposal for Gary, Gary's Department of Public Works is $580,000. It's not something I'd recommend, but that again is a level of service question. Right now, I can tell you our level of service on the utility side is lacking. And there's some people who aren't happy, but we're doing the best we can.
I mean, if I've got this equation from what you explained correct, we went from 52 to 4, is that correct?
40.
We went from 52 per 100,000 to 40.
So you're saying, if I got this right, that that was a compound problem. The difference between 52 and 40 is $95,000. The difference between 52 and 5.2, using the same ratio and going to 6.4, $90,000. We've got a $281,000 budget on our hands, negative. Looks like we're gonna come in around $450,000 negative. And we're saying the biggest reason is because of taxes?
Well, that,
I mean,
and
95,000 compared to 350,
You're-
$450,000 worth. It sounds like we got a lot more than just water as far as on.
we have a lot of problems. We have an inflationary environment where inflation's up 12 to 17%, depending on what you're looking at.
Everybody,
Supply chain issues, which are adding to our costs. So everything we do is more expensive.
I'm gonna really do my best to bite my tongue in this meeting. This is a disgrace. Okay? All I can say is I'm gonna find it really hard to do anything until we get some audits completed. And I'm also gonna say is, I'm gonna say we, from my perspective, not yours, but we may not have a budget in July. And we may have a budget that may need to be amended as we go along. Because until we can see some realistic numbers, of actual numbers, some of these numbers that I'm looking at, I mean, you gotta help me out with this, because I don't understand. But we had budgeted to be 112,000, and we ended up, so far, it's looking like we're down $465,000. Is that correct? $353,000 over budget?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, I'm looking at governmental operations, 23-24 budget, approved, a negative $112,056.21. And actual as of today, that I have, if I'm reading this right, is a negative $465,787.16, or a difference of $353,000. So we're $353,000 over budget from the previous year. I mean, from what we had projected.
Yes.
And that's, I gotta ask, because I wasn't part of this, maybe I can get a little bit better understanding. But the $200,000 on the street over budget on the capital projects, were these things that we had grants for, or were we paid out of basically our bank accounts? The $200,000 over on the streetlights and the $190,000 over on the dog park. Were they paid for by the town?
So some of that money came from the previous year brought forward, and you took money that was not in the budget at the time from our trust funds and added it to complete the street.
Yeah. But either way, we're 200,000 over and one and 190,000 over.
You know, you were not, the streetlights were not originally, the additional 200,000 came like.
I was in the board in 21. I had pancreatitis, and I wasn't able to go ahead and get on the docket for running this year. But 21 budget, best I remember, we had about $500,000 in the bank in a surplus. I never think it changed in a couple of years, but I think we had $500,000 in the bank, roughly, if I'm not mistaken. And I think our budget projection was about $82,000 in the plus. And what I'm looking at right now, if this is correct, from July of 23, if these numbers are correct, as I believe they are, from bank investments accounts, and accounts the town of Newland has, we went from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe about $900,000 to negative $810,000.
I don't know what you're looking at.
Anybody want a picture? You can have it. That's why I'm not talking, sir.
Gotcha. In deep thought.
Oh, yeah. And we need an audit. We need to find out where some of this money went, because that alone is between the negative balance of 450 to 810. That's a lot of money difference there. I like to know where it's at. Because at the very least, from the numbers that I'm seeing here, where actual versus the money that was in the account in July of 2023, we got a lot of money going. I need to know where it's at. So I have another officer because of this. So I'll shut up and you guys can take it.
I agree with everything you just said.
I do too. I think, you know, I get the part about taxes, I do. And I'm one that would say that we probably need to raise the taxes a little bit. But the money that's gone, there's been so much that has gone on in the last year. Under the radar.
No, I'm not blaming you. I
I'm not
don't know.
blaming anybody.
I don't know. I'm just
I'm not
saying.
blaming anybody, but I agree, we need an audit.
Yeah. She's directly blaming me, that's fine. I guess I don't understand why we're dwelling on that when a budget stands by itself.
How do you put a budget together when you don't even know where your numbers are? That's what I have. We did the same thing last year. I wasn't on that, but apparently we did the same thing.
We did the same thing. But,
We didn't have an audit at the time.
No,
We banked on numbers that we didn't even know if we had.
no, we banked on, an audit is based on revenues and projected expenses. That's all an audit, that's all a budget is.
Okay.
The projected revenues and the projected
At the end of the
expenses.
day, our numbers, our math's not adding.
Okay, I agree with you because it shows a deficit. But the revenues, which are given to us mainly by the state, are in this budget. The expenses are in this budget. Those are the things you have control of, the expenses, not the revenues. And to make a budget, you should balance. How do you balance? You're gonna either cut stuff or raise taxes. All these other questions are for another time. Because a budget is a budget, and you saying that we're not gonna have a budget in July, that's a violation of law. So, you're gonna have a budget, it may not be a pretty budget, but you're gonna have to have a budget come July first, you don't have a choice.
Okay, let me put it another way. We don't have any money in the bank to go ahead and go over negative budget. Before we have some cash in the bank, for what I'm saying is, if we approve this budget, there's not any money to go ahead and approve it. We can't go to the kitty to get anything out.
So, last year's budget had a negative, and it was balanced by money in the bank.
And what money do we have in the bank right now? Sam?
We have about $100,000 in investment accounts. We have two
$100,000.
investment accounts that have
So
about
if we do
40
everything
something
that we're
each.
gonna do, and we raise taxes, and we lower it to, you know, we've already got it in there that it's a 281, so if you even raise taxes more, then you're still, even if it's 62, then you're still talking about $90,000, which would basically say that we're still gonna run in the red because we're gonna take the money that we got in the bank, and we're gonna be broke.
What do we have in emergency?
Those are the emergency funds I'm talking about.
But we
Two
don't
inve-
have,
oh,
we
sorry.
don't have the 6 months.
No, so I was trying to explain, so there's a myth going around in the state and in the local finance officer groups, we all talk about this kind of stuff. And so there's a myth that, you're supposed to have 8% in reserve. That's not true. There's a myth that says you should have such and such. Yes, you should have money in investment accounts for emergencies and such as that. That's basically, from what I understand, determined by each municipality or each county government, whatever. So, we did have those accounts. We had two investment accounts, with Fidelity and Charlotte, and then one was, at First National before it closed down by the hospital, and then that was moved to First Citizens. So we did have those, but those funds are not what they used to be.
Bill, the reason those questions are important right now is because if we look at the taxpayer and we say, we've got a burden, we're gonna have to put this on you to go ahead and get us out of this situation. As a taxpayer, me, as a business owner, and everybody else in this room, has to sit on the other side of that chair and say, if I'm gonna pay it, where's the money? So unfortunately, that's a little bit of a double-edged sword. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying. This is what we do need to focus on. But at the same time, if we're talking specifically about raising the tax, put that burden specifically on the taxpayer. And if we already have gone from 0.4 to 0.52 in this budget, and we're now looking at proposing even more, or water, sewer, or anything else that we go up on, it's gonna be solely on the taxpayers. So I don't know. I don't know how to digest that.
Just for my clarification, I've got a long day, I've got a headache. For my clarification, this meeting is about our upcoming budget, okay? Which is what you've got us here, right, Bill? And for this budget right here, okay, which has just what the town has agreed to, and what we feel like we need to do, right?
Well, not yet, but,
Well, that's what we're working on, right? We have to do something with our taxes, which is the way that we cover this, correct? So all this, albeit important stuff that he's talking about, has nothing to do with what we're trying to do right now. We're just trying to get to where we budget, we can balance, we'll come close to balancing this, correct?
Actually, it does. This 281,000 already is including, tax increase.
It will.
Proposed tax
Yes,
increase, and with the possibility of looking at more of a tax increase. So we're sitting at $281,000 in the negative with the proposed tax increase from 0.4 to 0.5.
So basically, something's gotta give.
Something's got to give elsewhere also in this budget, because it's just not. And at the end of the day, just because we put it in pencil and we say it, doesn't necessarily mean squat. In other words, if we say, or we're just gonna go ahead and, for example, take miscellaneous expenses at a level 4 description from $10,000 to $5,000. Well, we can mark that down, but just say it's for contract labor. And contract labor says, well, I'm gonna charge you $5,000 for that project. And then we get a bill for $15,000 for the project, or, $25,000 for that project. How are we gonna stop from just red penciling everything that comes in over? So this budget meeting probably needs to be a couple things. We need to put a hard line as far as on what we're agreeing to or not agreeing to. For an example, I think there's some kind of $30,000 number out there that we can just, cut, check whenever needed. So do we need to go ahead and draw that back to a lesser amount?
We have.
Maybe that's
We
needed.
have.
It's
Okay.
at 5, I think.
That's good to know. So the second thing is, when somebody gives us a bid, how do we hold that person accountable to that person? Do we not? In other words, I think maybe it needs to be a contract. For an example, if somebody goes ahead and does something, and they say, I'm gonna bid this, and they win the bid, and that's it, and that's what you pay them. Is that, this is part of budgeting. We don't wanna get
Yeah, we-
boned like I
we
think we
do.
got boned last year.
Yeah, we do RFPs for, like, some of the, like, we put out an RFP for street paving, and it's specified in the RFP what needed to be done, but that wasn't followed, so.
Well, the reason I'm saying that is, for an example, I think there's several line items that are in this that from last year, budget versus, actual numbers. So, for example, water sewer, repairs and maintenance, and this is on us, whatever it may have been, we had a budget of 30,000, we did 148,000. So next year, or this year is actually being budgeted at 50,000. There's over $118,000. Well, we know we're gonna have, things, but what else on this can we control? So I'm asking.
You can control about all of it.
Okay, so where do we start?
Well,
We can't control a 401 contribution.
no.
We gotta take care of ours.
It's down 280, you have money?
I just looking at
Okay,
it.
281, 81, 17. What did you say, Tina?
Oh, I wasn't saying anything.
Oh,
Thanks.
What about just saying no capital projects for this next year?
Well, the capital projects aren't even funded, so that's why they sit down there on the very bottom. Those proposed numbers for capital project, there's no money for any of those. They're not even added into what's up top.
How about this $3.2 million grant? Don't that go to fix some water and sewer?
Yes.
Yes, that's already
That
earmarked.
doesn't do anything for the budget.
You can't use it. for
You can't use it for general, you can't use it for,
Anything but-
you can't use
Well,
it
yeah,
for
I
street
understand
lights,
that.
yeah.
But they said that we took out of water and sewer to give to general.
Well, this is years ago. This is, I've seen this pop up in the budget over the past years.
Not this year, because that's why I asked my colleague up at the School of Government about that.
So the $148,000 for repairs and maintenance, $148,000, $118 million over budget. Is there any of that money applied from that?
You would like to maybe hope.
I'm asking because it is in water sewer.
Just so you know, I've not been here long enough to run a proof list to see what some of these amounts are. I need time to be able to run a proof list so I know just in some of the things that Jessica and I have been doing, there may be some things that are miscoded in one department that should have been in another. But as we're finding those, we're taking notes because we'll have to do a budget amendment for this current fiscal year we're in. Now, I'm not really sure what that 148,000 makes up. And I can get that for you and let you know in an email.
Yeah, and some of that is probably definitely my fault, because where Carl, worked on the wetlands over there, there wasn't a capital projects line in it, so that was coded to the dog park, cause it's technically Shoemaker, so, yeah, that was my fault, for sure.
So the projected, the capital projects, it's in at $171,000 on the last page. That is against that 281,000.
The 200, no, that down there at the bottom,
Yeah.
that's separate on its own. That has nothing to do with general fund 10, the 281,000, nor has anything to do with code, Fund 30, which is water wastewater, that's just capital projects are separate from your budget. This is, so I'm assuming, Bill, that these are, if we could get grants for, more grants for streetlights or grants for park enhancements, right?
These are things that were separately funded by the boards previously, or throughout last year. For instance, Secasa, you kept adding money to the budget, my recommendation, to finish Secasa. You still gotta do work to finish it. The streetlights were from 2 years ago, brought forward last year, brought forward again this year, and then took money from the 2 trust funds to add, once we got a quote, to finish the streetlight project. So that's why you see these. The dog park is actually done. We have a few things that would like to be done. I did find somebody who's gonna donate benches for us, so those will be coming shortly. So that we don't need to spend, thank goodness.
I don't think I can need more on that.
But is that part of that, I think you said no, and I don't understand. Is that part of it?
Those numbers under capital projects stand alone. They're not included as part of your minus $281,000.
Thank you.
There are projects, if you want to fund them, you fund them, if you don't, you don't.
So if you cut all the capital projects, you're still in the hole 200 and some thousand.
It's,
And the way to rectify that is by raising taxes, correct?
No, I think there's other stuff that we could.
Other than cutting stuff, right?
Well, you might have to cut some things, but, you know, we mentioned the hotel tax.
We've already discussed, we're not gonna do the what ifs. We don't know if we're gonna get that, we don't know how much it's
So-
gonna be.
You've done the research and said it's
Yeah.
130-some thousand a year.
Okay,
Yeah.
but we don't have that, that's not for sure
And-
coming in.
and to get it, we'll have to go to the legislature and ask them for it, so it'll take a little bit of time to get it, but it'll be effective immediately. You get 3% of the first 500,000 collected, and then you get 1% of everything after that, no limits. And we've already reached out to the Green's office to start that process.
Can I ask, the software that we're looking at, what are we looking at?
What's the internet, Joseph?
The reason I asked that because I thought the last meeting, was that.
In
sorry,
which
it was
one?
the last one. But that we had
420?
updated some software. So there's an up there, there's a,
Where are we talking about?
I apologize.
Communication.
General government,
That's just a lot.
What's that?
Jump.
The $3,500? The current expenses is
line item, 560.
We can take 1,000 out, but it's not gonna make much of a difference.
It's at $18,000. Budgeted last year for 7,500, we spent 15,600. Now, of course, there's expenses and increases on everything. Is that just a projected number, or is it something that we have something specific that we need to update as far as our software and computers?
That software is software we currently hold. So Office, financial software, that's what's in that. Those are numbers that are given to us.
Okay. So it went from $7,500 to actual, right now, 15,673.
Which is why we went up to 18, because we factored in at that point the 2 months that were still outstanding. In our Outlook, our Microsoft 360 went up, 365 went up.
I don't know if I can help you, but I can try and, we also need to keep our old software, QS1, until this audit is done, because they have awesome information. But after this audit, the 23, 24, because we didn't switch to, or I'm sorry, excuse me, 22, 23, we had from, July to October. So after this audit, though, we can get rid of it, we just have to keep QS1 until the audit.
Will that decrease then?
Yeah, for sure.
No, that's what I'm asking. I'm just making sure that I'm not looking ignorant here. I'm seeing it just.
But it will.
changes now, or what we're in the problem with. It seems like
far as for the protective uniforms?
There's one through the league that'll pay part of it. Talking about the vests,
Yes.
yeah, I have to look into that. Like, it should be a problem in getting it, but as far as how much they'll pay on it, I don't know.
At this point, anything good?
Oh, yeah, actually, I looked into today too, there's a grant called the COPS grant that'll actually pay for, it's over like a 5-year period. It starts out paying like 75% of an officer's salary, one officer. But the grant's closed for this year, so I can't apply for it this year.
Fair enough.
Like, I missed it like just a few days, it closed on the 12th of this month.
And there is a way we could just approve a budget for July, correct? And it go forward. From what I understood,
You can do it, you can just make amendments on it.
yeah, you could just approve a budget for July only and give everybody time to work on this a little bit, let us look at it.
I mean, isn't that the same as what happened last year when it was in a deficit of 112? I mean, it would probably be the same, right, Bill?
Nope.
No? Okay.
No, we had money in the bank to
Oh,
cover it.
I got you.
So when the money became available,
Okay,
we took the money out of one bank, put it in another, and invested it. When that investment period ended, we put it in a CD. When that CD expired, then we then transferred the money. And then the balance went into a money market.
Bill, in all your wisdom in town administration, is there anything else that you could recommend cutting from this without everybody getting up in arms?
You know, this is gonna be a year where we buckle down and not do anything. The problem is, mainly on the utility side, we don't really have a choice. We're gonna farm out all of our labor, we're gonna farm out all of the repairs. That bill's gonna be fairly high. And I really don't know the difference between, say, four people in that department versus a contractor. Because even when we were full in that department, we still had a contractor come in and do some of the more complicated work. Because nobody was trained to do that specific work. So nobody could run the equipment efficiently, nobody, you know, it just, and our system's old. Everything in our system is old. And so we're just gonna expect to see more and more and more repairs. So on the utility side, fortunately, there's a plus. So if we just ignore that and come back to the public works side. The salaries on the public works side, we've already addressed. There's 1/2 of an FTE there in each area of public utilities. So we got half a person in there, which is somebody we can bring in to help us. But you eliminate that, that eliminates any corresponding 401k and taxes and all that other burden. You're still looking at, you got 18,000 proposed plus another 6,000, so you got 24,000. It's not a big hit. When you start going down and looking at some of these other things, our utilities, which they haven't come through, but on the public works side, that's our street lights, which is a huge bill. And we're trying to work with Mount Electric to reduce our bill by putting in all LED street lights. We pay for all the street lights. There's one price for the standard light, the sodium lights, and there's one price for the LED lights, which is lower. So we're trying to work with them to push them to get them to move that for us, to lower that cost. But I still have to account for that at this time, because they aren't moving that fast. But we're looking in reality, probably 20,000 in the end. Again, so the other part of our utilities comes from, the wells and all that, so, and town hall. So town hall's in this budget, Secosa's in this budget,
wastewater treatment plant,
wastewater treatment plants and utilities.
yeah.
So we don't have to worry about that one. Again, we're ahead on that one. Our vehicle maintenance, we can drop it and not do any maintenance, we'll have vehicles that don't run at some point. You know, they're okay, I mean, we can limp by. Our fuel costs, I dropped both of those. Travel, I hesitate to eliminate travel, it's only $1,000. But if Gary's gonna be certified and maintain a certification, not everything's online.
Sure.
The first thing he looks for is something online, but some of these things are not online. You have to.
No wastewater is online.
Yeah. So unfortunately, but again, that's $1,000, you're not really talking. Minor equipment, that's our catch-all for the small repairs that we have to do. And that just kinda adds into repairs and maintenance, so that's actually like our building repairs and maintenance and, you know, and then the minor equipment is, you know, with, computer breaks or something, then we can replace it. We've got street improvement, 75. The reality is our PAL bill looks to be projected at, hold on. Get back to page one. Our PAL bill is projected to be 30,000. I think it's gonna be 37. Because they said to expect an increase. So, if that's the case, we can drop this 75 and just leave it with PAL bill and not spend any more money. Outside of that, if we have an emergency, we'll have to come up with money somewhere, but, you know, this was to do potholes, the board had approved speed tables in various locations, we never got to those, I mean, that night we get to them.
That's a big number if we could do it on that.
Yeah, well, you can, I mean, it's not gonna be a huge impact, but there might be something that comes along during the year. Other contracted services, so this is Appalachian Waste, this is our mowing contract. We have a couple of just general small contracts that like those two that we maintain. We've already entered into a contract with both. So, to get out of them, when we have Republic did charge us for our dumpsters, because they had a franchise agreement. But the board decided they didn't want a franchise agreement, so now we get charged for our dumpsters. So, and it's not a slam on service, it's just just reality. That's just the way it works. The franchise agreement gives them a certain amount of expectation, and to reward us for that, they gave us our dumpsters for, so dumpsters and trash cans. So we pay for those now, so that's really not gonna, fall out. The property, insurance there is really covering our parks and Secasa. So I kind of broke property insurance out to where it should be, so we get a more realistic picture. Our property insurance total is 17.
Not sure.
It's like 17, almost 18,000. But when you break it up into different things, you know, they're a little smaller bites, so you really can't, but it shows you really can't touch that. There's, dues and permits, and we have permits we have to pay for the wastewater treatment plant, for all the water treatment stuff, we get permits for that. So we have to pay for those, so, and that's pretty much a steady number, it hasn't increased over the years, fortunately. I don't expect it to increase this year based on my conversations. The accounting software, and then we got a work order program at the direction of the board. We've implemented that, it is, how much? Gary?
Do what?
The work order annually?
Work order annually.
The work order program,
Oh,
the software.
28.
Yeah, 2,800.
Then you have to add, his part of the Southern in that too. That's
Yeah,
why
and
it's up
his-
to
yeah,
5.
His part of Southern is in there, so he has to maintain separate Southern software, license, because that was part of the auditing stuff, and.
Let me ask you this, going back to the first line of the Public Works, that's just for a part-time position in case Gary needs somebody?
Yes.
Gary, would you be able to say, in all of your Public Works wisdom, that you would be able to confidently do your job without having a part-time person, potentially?
I mean,
Well,
not been doing it, but, I mean,
That's up to him, but he, doing it himself with all this overtime,
Yeah,
having
you gotta have
every
a-
weekend.
Somebody's gotta go ahead and be on call.
But that's up to him.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
have-
somebody's gonna be on call, whether it's me or somebody else. I
Yeah.
mean, that's not, that's unavoidable.
And you have, there's a half person in 545 in Fund 10, the other half of that person is in Fund 30, 818. So, because Fund 30 had more money, I split that person in half. Bill and I talked about it, he put half of that person in Public Works, the other half in water wastewater, so it didn't look as bad. And then that's the, you guys said that he would get at least one FTE, that means full-time employee. So I cut him in half and put him in two places
I'm just looking at the
with his
numbers.
benefits. Yeah, sure, good question though, good question.
And we're not having the part-time, right, after July?
Correct.
Yeah.
In that, yes.
And the 3 FTEs are you, Sandy, and just,
Yes. In the admin,
pardon
yes.
me?
In the town hall.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could take out that $1,356, but it's gonna be an expense in July, and that's the
Yeah.
new fiscal year, so. It's either take it out and then we don't bring her in, or leave it in and let her work July.
What do you recommend?
That's up to you guys, not to me.
I don't work out here. It's up to you all if you need help.
I have
Yes.
a question. I know y'all talked about raising rates and not being able to get grants
No, it's not what we're
on
talking about.
utilities. Okay.
Raising rates is one conversation, and then moving money from
Oh, moving money,
utilities
Yeah, we
okay,
can't
all right.
move
is
I mean,
another, yeah.
on the water side, I had to change out a setter and meter down here on 300 Espatoa because he's putting in a modular, but the yoke that was in there didn't have a back check or check valve. So the cost for me to put in a new yoke meter, electronic meter, and then the boxes to do it, and my time was $800. We only charge $600 for a water tap. And I mean, we didn't charge him that, he already had the meter. It just needed to be brought up to standard, because you can't hook up to one without a check valve.
And that's the beauty of that software.
So, I mean, the work order system, I put all the parts and everything, the actual cost and everything. And for me to do that the other day wound up being $841, mostly parts. I mean, I was down there for 2 hours,
And how much do we charge for water tap?
$600.
What is it? It's for water.
In water and sewer tax. At your regular meeting coming up, we talked last meeting about the revised ordinance for utilities. So that ordinance addresses that specific situation. And
How much
in
do you
it,
think it'll bring up?
We give you the whole year.
well, we would charge for that meter replacement, we would charge them for the cost of the meter. So we would deduct that part out of that expense. So we would charge them for that in this ordinance as it's proposed now. But we would also look at raising rates, charging a flat fee, which is what most of the state does, 90% of the state does that. They charge a flat fee, like $15 a month, and then they charge per 1,000 gallons of water. It's what the state calls a conservation rate, because the more you use, the more you pay, so they wanna encourage the citizens to not use water, so that's why they call it a conservation rate. So that, actually I have here, we can talk about. It won't help a lot, because again, I think this budget, on the utility side, is 141 plus, on the plus side. But this is a table from your engineer, Mike Colson, was here at your last meeting. And you'll see what we charge on our side on the left, and then what is proposed on the right. You see in-town, out-of-town rates. In-town rates are one price, out-of-town are double, which is what we
Yeah,
currently.
I'm sorry, couldn't get it.
Sorry. Okay. 3. then there's a rate for commercial, rate for residential, which we currently have. So this is the same setup we have, as you can see. But the first thing on there is the base fee. Now, this recommends $40, and I will tell you that LGC is telling us to raise our rates. They do not like the amount of money we have in reserve on the utility side. This type of fee schedule, whether you settle on this number or you settle on some other number, this layout of fee schedule with the flat fee and the price per thousand will also help us get grants. Because grant providers gonna look at that and go, you have a fee schedule, it's a logical fee schedule. So we will help you out and get you where you need to go.
So this is, you go from 21, 40, and then $5, 1 to 1,000.
Yes. And if you kind of look, it says current bill and then the conservation bill, like on the first table, at the bottom of the first table, it says let's just say 3,000 gallons, because that's the average consumption here in town. It's $58 under the conservation bill. The current bill is $47.60. That's an average. So you're actually charging that person $10.40 more. But if they're using more, if you go down to 4,000 to 5,000, they're currently, or the conservation is 75, they're currently paying 74.20. So they end up paying 80 cents more. But again, it's just the way the table works out.
And then you double it for sewer, right?
Yes. Or whatever rate you want to use. And then the ordinance is proposing a different connection fee, a different tap fee, and we're even looking at system development fees. So if somebody wants to build something and there's not service there, they pay for that and they give that to us. We can't charge impact fees anymore. I know we have an impact fee schedule floating around, but we've ignored that because we're not legally allowed to charge that. State outlaw did 16 or 17.
So just to help me understand here, so if we go to this, the regular fee, say if you use just 1 to 1,000 gallons, is $21, right?
Currently, it's $21.
Okay, then it would double the sewer to 42 a month. So then what they're saying is let's take it up to 40, and then let's charge another $5 for the first 1 to 1,000 gallons, so that's 45, so their water bill and sewer bill doubles.
Yeah, they would end up actually paying, if for the 1,000 gallons, they would end up actually paying $24 more than they currently pay. Again, the reason, and this base fee is fungible, you can move this base fee up or down, but this base fee is a number. When we looked at, right now it's just Gary, when we looked at Gary driving around, Gary trying to, read meters, the meter software, meter reading software, all of those things, 40 was the best number. It was really 55, but 40 was the best number. Mike and I had a long conversation about this, we thought would be a little more palatable for this town. Now, it may not be, but, this is just a long conversation of what ifs with an engineer. So, we settled on 40 and he ran his, table based on that, and then on the commercial, he went up $10, so and then he doubled everything. So it's $50 for a commercial flat fee, and if you're out of town, it's $100. And the logic for that was Gary has to leave home base, go out and do whatever work he has to do, and then he has to come back. So he's no longer serving the citizens for that time period. He's serving a customer, but he's not serving citizens, and that's our goal is to serve citizens. So that's why that fee is double if you're outside the town limits, is to cover that. That's the logic that the LGC is gonna look at, and they're gonna go, okay, that logic makes sense. Now, they may balk at the numbers, you may balk at the numbers, and that's fine. I felt like I needed to get you something in your face to look at. And this is not, you can approve this, I mean, this, you can agree to this, you can change it now, you can approve it at the budget hearing at 6 o'clock, because that's all part of budget. But that budget is okay. I mean, it doesn't really give us enough money for emergencies, but it's okay. You haven't raised, adjusted, or otherwise looked at rates since 2017.
A long time.
Yes. And as you saw, just simply changing a meter, one person changing a meter is almost $1,000. And that's just pure cost. There's no padding in that.
Do we know what surrounding towns are charging?
I've not looked at surrounding towns.
There was a guy in here the other day, what did he say, Spruce Pine? Or was it? There was one town he was trying to quit working with, but basically it was
Oh, yeah.
$3,200 for a water tap.
That was Spruce Pine.
Let's get mine done before we do anything. I know, that's what I'm saying.
Let's get mine done.
How much
I
do
was
you,
gonna ask for money back, but apparently I won't be.
You know, we can give you money back,
No,
start
no.
over.
how much
We'll
do
hold
you foresee or an estimate of what the Fourth of July event's gonna cost?
Last year was, we ran that number, I don't have it in front of me, but last year it cost us about $7,000 total. You had staff time, trash pickup, which was $150. You had, the DJ, the music, the skydivers, fireworks, which are the big ones.
Wait a minute, you can't count side, it's got you brought in almost six.
That's right, they were paid.
You made money off them.
Well, she asked how much it costs, how much it costs.
I got you.
So we got money in to supplement some of that, but the checks we wrote out for one thing, and we got money in to cover some of this. Again, the fireworks are the big bulk of it, the band was the next one. Skydivers were the next one, and then, of course, we don't have a way to capture utility costs for that, for water, and electricity. We don't have a meter out there on either one of those, so we don't capture that. But that's an additional cost,
You don't have water out there this year either,
because,
because I didn't run the line.
Do we have porta johns going out there today?
yeah, we have porta johns too. We have 2 porta johns and 2 wash stations. We would probably need to increase that.
Can we cut that anymore at all from 20,000?
Well,
Well, you can, that's for all events. So
Yeah.
that was Christmas, that was spring fling, that was, so if you look at that, 4th of July is a big event. So if you take half and then delete half, you would, because we don't have the other events, so that would also cover the parade and all that stuff.
If you can get volunteers to do the trash different times of the day where I don't have to be out there all day, that'll save money.
yeah, but that line item, sorry, Gary, that line item, that 20,672 doesn't even include your time. Your time is in salary. This
Yeah.
is just pure expenses based upon festivals.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll be glad to, Jessica and I could go through and pull out what's specific to spring fling, what was specific to the parade or Christmas parade. We could, there shouldn't be expenses there, but we can pull the invoices and give you a better idea. If the only thing we're going to do as a town is the 4th of July festival, then we can tell you how much that cost us in 2023. And then we can track the cost for 2024. So,
Well, you need the dumpster.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That worked better than anything, so.
Yeah, and Appalachian worked with us on that, maybe it was just that cost. They didn't charge for setup or, they just charged us the $150 per room. So that was good, and that saved us a lot of time, because otherwise they were driving over here several times a day. So, but yeah, you could drop this down to 10 or 11,000.
how much is
Cover that
fireworks?
one, yeah.
think fireworks is $47.50 times 2, so that's,
Times 2, yeah.
that's already,
That
that's
was the
close.
biggest expense. So that was 9,000, a little over 9,000, it wasn't 10,000.
Yeah, $9,500, and the skydivers are 2,500, so.
2,500, and then the band, I don't remember what he was, was he 1,000? Was he 1,000?
Kind of, I don't know what.
So we're already up at, up to 12,000, just fireworks and skydivers.
And then we had the DJ, we gave her.
No, there's other things going on during the day, so I'm bringing my PA up there, so. pretty much-
And then you had something going on 12, 2, 7.
For the track,
Yeah, $200.
I'm talking about.
it's $200.
$200 for the DJ.
Yeah. And then, Jennifer putting her back out there, I don't know, I'm not involved in any of that, so I don't know what's going on with it. I did see an email,
How much are the armadillo races this year?
well, the armadillos were donated, so they weren't anything.
Do we have any donations this year like we had last year, Derek?
Not yet.
Okay, I just wondered. Okay.
So I don't know if the DJ's coming, I think she's expressed desire, but I have no contact with her.
I told her to reach out.
Oh, good. No, I just-
Oh, while I'm thinking about it, Christie, would you mind asking her for an invoice so I can pay her for the food truck night, please? If you guys approve that to be paid, then I'll need at least an invoice to back it up. Thanks.
Then after Boone Church, and they're doing free, there's no, nothing else, anyone else that wants to come will have to do donations on it.
For free, that's cool.
Oh, are we gonna advertise in the paper? I got an email from them. We advertised last year in the paper, so we'll do it again this year. That was a question to the board.
I say the e-signs and the, just my thought, I think the e-signs and all that kind of stuff is enough advertisement. I mean, all the people see it when we put it on the big sign, the sign out front. I mean, it's on the Facebook page. I just say that because advertising in the paper means money.
Yeah.
And right now, anything we can save is good. My opinion, only one person's opinion.
Well, unfortunately, your opinion doesn't matter right now.
I know, it never has, so.
I appreciate you.
I agree with that. Okay, well, I mean, I just need 3 of you, so that's
I
not.
agree with the same, we do nails fine.
It's a small enough town.
Well, I'll tell you, that's the one complaint we get. Even though we
Yeah.
have it on Facebook, we have it on our website, we put it on these signs, the one complaint we get is, I didn't know it.
Well, someone could go around and hang signs up at restaurants and businesses.
Yeah, we can print out posters at a relatively insignificant cost.
Plus, if we could ask Christian Gardner to put it on the Avery Journal's Facebook page. You know, they put stuff out there and I don't think they charge for their Facebook page ad. I mean,
I think the only thing you put on there is stuff that's advertised in the paper.
I would imagine.
We can ask, we'll definitely ask.
John did email blast.
We've never done, we don't have anybody's emails.
Could start getting
them.
Yeah.
And we
When they come
paid
in
the
for work.
DJ
Yeah, we have.
200, Adam Church 2,500, I think we paid for 3 hours last year, 2 or 3 hours, I can't remember. And then we paid 9,000 for the fireworks and 4,500 for the skydivers. And I can't remember, but I think those were like the biggest,
Those are the big tickets.
yeah.
We have costs that we absorb, like I said, electricity, water, they just get absorbed into the
skydivers are cheaper this year, they're only 2,500.
Hip, hip hooray.
Hey, Bill, I think you went over this and I missed it. On Public Works on line item 5/2015, $36,000, what is that for? Utility?
On the public works side, that's for utilities.
Are you in 545,
Yes, ma'am, 5/2015,
52015,
545, you're right.
52015, yeah.
Utilities, 52015, so that includes our, streetlights, that's the big expense, streetlights are the huge expense. It includes, utilities with Secasa, it includes utilities, that's on average, it includes utilities, that's it. Except Secasa and the
No,
streetlights.
that's
It don't
water,
include
that's
just-
water.
No, not water and sewer, just the public works. Okay.
And if you'll notice, Dave, that used to be all charged to Department 420. If you'll look at 420, it was a $39,195 expense for this current fiscal year. So really, streetlights should have been moved back to 545 because streetlights are public works
Yeah.
expense. So that's why we moved them out of 420 and put them in the department where they belong as far as the budget.
Buy the water and the sewer.
Is there anything we can do to that, or that's pretty much where it's at?
Well, that's, yeah, if you could get Mountain Electric, give us a big discount, that'd be good, cause, yeah.
The streetlights again on that one are the huge expense, that's a huge expense.
I talked to Dave a couple of weeks ago, and he said they were getting some lights in and put them up.
Yeah, that's what's gonna save us, cause
Yeah,
our
the
monthly
LEDs.
fee on the lights will change. It'll drop pretty significantly.
If we could afford at some point in time to change the big bulby, the big old ones, if we could afford to change those to LEDs along and along, then that would also cut down like where we are not placing the new lights.
Yeah, they're supposed to be
But
replacing
LEDs,
sodiums.
but LEDs are expensive, you know, in the upfront, but you save over time.
They don't charge us for the
They just switch them out
hardware.
and they just charge you a monthly rate. It's
Yeah.
a set rate, so the sodiums are probably $8.
Streetlights on the Riverwalk,
Yeah, she's talking about streetlights on the Riverwalk.
Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm talking,
Oh,
is
that's right,
changing
that's
the,
awesome.
Changing
sorry.
those bulbs
I
out.
mean, if we could change those out, even though the LED those bulbs are more expensive up front, we would save money over time, changing them from whatever they currently are out there to LEDs,
They're a mixture.
yeah.
We're ready to end the workshop and go into the meeting, or we just going straight in?
Yeah, it's a hearing, so you have to open a hearing.
What's the deadline for the budget?
July, June 30th, you have to have it in place before July 1st.
Yeah, we don't want LGC coming out.
To be able to approve the budget without raising taxes, we have to slash a lot more.
Yes. You can back out a tax increase in this budget, we'll readjust the number, you can see what it is, you can approve the budget with a deficit, but you're gonna have to do something, as Dave said in the first month, to figure that out.
I'm gonna throw out some pros and cons, you guys take it or leave it. This is about $60,000. It's not enough, but it's something to look at. The fact is, I'm just throwing it out there, okay? Just trying to find ways we can go ahead and cut things. If anything else, we're just gonna have to really sharpen our pencils, tighten up in areas that we can. If anything else, we're just saying on some of these areas, just all we got, and that's all we got. So minor equipment, going at 420, governmental, general government, starting at 54,005. This is just my personal suggestion, whatever you want to go with it. I got that number from $10,000 to $5,000, and then it was $10,000 budgeted, and came in at 2028 so far.
Just so you know that it's gonna cover the, schedule for replacement of 3 computers. So,
I thought that went with the,
on the minor equipment line for,
minor equipment, don't we have, so that doesn't include software and computer services?
No,
no, those are the intangible software is, you know,
So what's the number on that? That's,
well, I was
what's
gonna say,
the cost of
you
that?
can get it down to 5,500, but I wouldn't go below that. We'll just, actually go to 5, we'll just go to 2 computers.
I think I'm on a different number, I'm talking about,
I'm talking about $10,000 under minor equipment.
and
Last year, we replaced the monitor and a computer.
so you say that can't fly?
No, if you wanna go down, you just wanna replace the number that was scheduled for football.
Well, I mean, it's still gotta be up for conversation, I mean, maybe something you gotta add.
Well, if something crashes, and
Right.
we've got some money left in miscellaneous to cover that, we'll just
Okay.
transfer it, but.
Repairs and maintenance, I know it's at 20,000. I would suggest trying to keep it at 15. That means it would just have to be, you know, now, does that mean if that can happen? No. But if we did bring $15,000, it's another $5,000. Anyhow, I'm just gonna make some notes. Anybody jump in at any time. Events, entertainment, we just talked about that. We're looking at it, you know, if we did a $5,000 decrease in there. This year, sounds like band one will cut you back $1,500. If we look at some other ways we can trim off on that.
so take it down to 15,000.
Yes, ma'am. Hey, you don't have to write any of these down, you can. These are just suggestions, and then I'll show you where I got the numbers. I know Derek's not gonna agree with us, I'm not gonna say 6%, but I'm gonna ask Michael on this. It was just tight. We went with 7% on the police. That drops $2,800 as far as on that. These are just suggestions, okay?
Okay.
I didn't say anything or do anything different on that 8,000, I'm just hoping that Michael can find a way to go ahead and do anything with that, but we're leaving that. I mean, I'm leaving that. The minor equipment in police department, $30,000. That's, what exactly is that we're looking at, because it's in black.
Yeah, that was one you guys approved already, that was for the body cams.
I got it. I'm not trying to knock anything, but we are where we are.
Now
Is that something we can do with that for this year?
that number was,
No, we're
Already purchased?
scraping the bottom of the barrel with the cameras we have.
yeah,
But we have to have the cameras.
We have to have the cameras, like, we originally had 6 cameras, we're down to maybe 2 that work.
and that's sometimes.
Last year, the year before, Banner upgraded their cameras, and they gave us all their old ones, which is what we have now.
Right.
And we went through all those parts and pieces that we had extra,
I hear you.
trying to keep going what we got.
Okay.
That 30,000 there is for the body cameras, but it also is covering some, upfitting one of the vehicles. Cause the body cameras themselves, it's going on a payment plan over the next few years. And it's gonna cost us right at $9,000.
That's already asked and answered, I think.
Yeah.
You
Well,
just
I'm
asked
just
me,
trying to,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, we're past that, I think
Okay.
that's.
Mike, there's 6 of you,
yes,
there's the chief and 5.
yes.
Okay.
Put a big scratch on that out. Can you all go ahead and pack your own bullets, that kind of thing? Save a lot of money there.
You don't want me to pay the bills.
Maybe use some different rounds.
I
We'll
will
get,
tell you this.
we'll get Target pew-pews.
You'd be surprised how much packing your own bullets costs.
Like
It
you're
ain't
talking about
cheap.
ammo, the LESS programs I sent y'all email about today,
Yeah.
we can get ammo through them. There's a cost, it's not free like everything else, there's a cost involved. Let's say like, the rounds we buy from a dealer, if they cost us, so we're paying $1 per round, we can get them from them for like 20, 30 cents a round. But it's their ammo is gonna be geared more for, like, when we go qualify.
Training.
Training ammo, it's not duty carry. It's
Right.
one of the-
Mike, y'all need $24,000 in legal fees.
Do what?
Y'all need $24,000 in attorney fees?
That probably kind of do.
That's probably.
Where's that at?
Where do you see that at? It's his, legal and professional
Well, what I'm
sixties.
doing is, with
Oh.
my eyes will work, is I'm adding 16,460, that Lexapro.
Yeah.
And then I'm adding the 6,600 together.
I got you.
Yeah, we definitely need that, cause the Lexipol is our policy and procedure
Yeah.
for the town, and when any new case law comes out, anything changes that might change the way we need to do stuff, they automatically update it. And then the other 6,000 is for our Smith and Rogers attorneys, so we can call them 24/7, anytime day or night. And if any of my guys are out on call and they got a question about anything, we call them up and they tell us the best route to take. And if something ever comes up in court about something, a decision they make or tell us, give us advice about, they'll show up in court with us for that. So it's well worth, it's done pay for itself, the attorney fees.
And Lexipol is basically insurance. It gives us
Yes.
policies and procedures, and it protects the town from liability. As long as we follow the policies and procedures, and we can say we've got policies or procedure about that. So that ends up in court, we print out the document, here it is, we have it.
Like miscellaneous expense, y'all spent 1,500 last year and had 5,000. We could take that down to 3 maybe?
For the,
It's on page 3, Michael.
Put it down to 2 to 3 now. I mean, that's mine.
56075,
yeah,
your last line.
yeah, I mean, if that's something you need to do, that's fine.
You think so?
Yeah, you said take it down to 3?
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Alderman Calvin said too.
Okay, but 25.
So what
Yeah,
we
split-
need,
Split the difference, 25.
okay.
Okay, where are we at?
I've only got 2 other line items that I have to do. I know that we need a street repairs. And we're so far underneath it, it's stupid. We could knock that line item back down to 65,000.
Have we paid Pittman Trucking what we owe them?
No.
What do we owe Pittman? What do we owe Pittman for? I guess I don't know.
Some paving, the Old Bill Road.
The Old Mill Road, the part that they use, and they damaged. Hired Mike Nelson paid their parking lot at Old Mill Road, and they wanted some reimbursement for Old Mill Road, since it's a public road, and we get, Powell money for it. So we gave them, I believe it was 20, and they wanted an additional 20.
So you paid them 20 so far?
Yeah, that was early last year, when Mike Nelson was out there. And I mean, early last year, like November or October. Early fiscal.
You paid Mike and not Pitt?
We paid Mike, not Pittman.
Okay.
Pittman paid Mike,
Yeah.
minus the 20, we paid Mike the 20,
Okay.
and then we would pay Pittman back the other 20, if you chose to do it. And he knew it wouldn't come out until this current budget, if it came out at all.
Is the one fella still asking for money, calling everybody? Carl?
Bill can answer that.
I'm sorry.
Is Carl still saying he's owed money?
Yeah, he's sent us a demand for, which would come up in your board meeting, demand for the rest of his money, $63,000
It's 72 including penalties.
Well, if you don't include penalties, whatever the base on, 60.
It was 60 something, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 63,000, some change.
Was that in this budget?
No. You said don't pay it.
You literally
so-
said don't pay it.
Yeah, the board's direction is not pay it, so it is not included. And that's the conversation you probably need to have with the town attorney.
Sorry, Alderman Calvin, I didn't mean to interrupt, I just.
Okay. That's fine points there, man. Anyhow, on the, I was at street improvements, just looking at the line item 65. Yeah, operating expenses right above that for public works, what are some of the inclusions in that?
Operating supplies,
Operating supplies.
Yeah. Brothers, on public works,
Gary.
anyhow,
We're on
budget
page 3.
7,000, I know, and that might be a line item movement.
Right
you know,
here.
'cause it was budgeted
Operating
at 10,
supplies.
and then we've only spent about 11 so far, maybe 12 by the end of the year.
So 545.
Is there anything you would trim off
Yeah,
there?
what all is included in operating, what are your operating supplies? So I brought it down
I don't know
from.
what else is in there.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm just gonna say 3,000.
How much, Dave? I didn't hear you.
3.
No, I'm just taking 3 off of that, so 7, I guess that would be 4, that would just might tell. And the last one that I have here is the, in the last line of our public works, the miscellaneous, 10 grand. You budgeted 20 last year, so far we're at 47. Can we move that to $5,000, or is there something pending specifically on that?
No, we can move it, it's just, basically, it's a number that holds money just in case something weird happens. So, if you wanna cut it, that's fine, just put it at 5.
We did that, then, 13. About $33,000 off the budget. Which is only about 12%.
Yeah.
But that's done. That's my 2 cents for now.
For the record, I like all the suggestions you made.
Thanks, John. Anybody else?
I must have missed a lot.
I like that rubber bullet idea there, man.
I think you should stop shooting people. Taser them, no,
Yeah.
it's cheaper.
Exactly.
I think we're ready to close the workshop, right?
Resolved, you just knocked out 60,000, 280, sounds like you've got 220 to go, or start talking tax rate.
So there's the budget tax.
We knocked out how much? I didn't get some of it.
1.52, keep track of it.
No, I'm just, he's asking to close the workshop. I think if Dave was successful in reducing the 60,
I don't know, was it $30,000 for cameras?
I would make a suggestion that we
I think it ended up being about.
do a temporary budget for just July and continue this to try to wait for our audit to see exactly what we have.
I'm not sure we can do that.
when is this all scheduled?
It should have already been.
I think they did it, did she not come?
Yeah, but she's,
It's not.
she's not finished, she'll have to come back. She was only available that one day, but she's finished with 22. 23's close.
Good. We had to get some additional information put together, so.
It's good. Yeah, it's good for us.
Miss Sandy, Miss St. Nancy.
Thanks. I'm hoping for next week, so.
Okay, so it would make sense just to do a temporary July and then move forward.
So how? Okay, not sure how to do it. Take all this, divide it by 12, multiply it by 1?
Maybe.
What will you need to keep the town hall running?
I need-
Salaries,
Yes.
you know, all that.
Yeah,
Salary,
I
bills,
got-
fuel, et cetera.
Insurance.
Yeah.
I believe we can adopt the budget with a deficit and then amend the budget.
Yes,
or-
that's how it's normally done.
Yeah,
You adopt the budget with a deficit and then you amend it
Yeah.
at a later time to, yeah.
The board of,
No, I'm not doing that.
We did it last year.
No.
Sorry. Yeah, well, I'm still sorry.
Okay, you've been quiet, man, anything else?
Is that a proposal to go ahead and try to get?
I said that we just work on July's budget design, approve July, and go, you know, and then we advance it. I mean, you know, we can meet for, yeah, after we get the audit.
I don't know how to do that. I don't know how we do that.
Well, I guess the thing is you need to, as a board, you need to identify, do you, what you want me to do? You want me to pay employees? You want me to do the 401K, the retirement, their benefits?
Yeah,
So that's what you need to decide tonight and tell me what you want paid in July, and then I can come up with a number. It's gonna take me some time tomorrow to put these numbers together.
I'm,
So I
Yeah,
could-
exactly, we can't,
and-
I don't know if we can do it tonight, you have to at least come up with some kind of,
Yeah.
we need to know what that number is.
Well, no, that's what, she's asking, what do you want in it,
Yeah.
and she'll give you the number
Uh-huh.
for y'all to
But at
approve.
the end of the day, I think you know what has to be paid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Payroll's tomorrow, which this is June, so we got enough to pay for payroll, but we're talking July. So I can give you a budget for the month of July, but it's gonna be, unless you want me to work tonight, I'll get it done
No.
tonight, so,
No.
yeah. I
No.
can,
We're okay.
I can give it to you tomorrow, or what's tomorrow? How about, tomorrow's
Friday.
Wednesday, how about I give it to you Thursday or Friday?
Are y'all closed tomorrow?
No,
Just a federal.
this is Newland.
They get a float. They
Okay.
get it whenever they want.
Because we're closed at the,
No, we're not close.
Is
So,
that something we do per vote online, I mean, email?
Well-
Or how?
well, yeah, you mean I send it out to you and you approve it?
yeah, we could
that's-
approve July's budget on the email.
Right, Bill? Yes or no?
Or he could poll the board, Jessica could call and get everybody's vote.
well, you can only approve a budget in a hearing, that's statute.
Okay.
You have to have a hearing.
All right.
People have to be able to come here and agree, concur, yell, scream, whatever it is they do, but it has to be in an open hearing.
so we would have to set up another special meeting.
So in short, that'll have, the
Well-
only way we can do that would be at the July meeting.
If you go to the hearing tonight, you have a scheduled hearing tonight, you're late, but you have a scheduled hearing tonight, you can approve a budget with a deficit as it is, and direct staff to do X, Y, Z. And then you can come to your board meeting on the second, because you already have approved budget, and you can schedule either at that meeting or a future meeting, August, say, for your future meeting, another budget hearing to amend the budget.
Okay, I like that route. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, so to be able to do that, we need to approve certain things this evening.
You gotta approve the budget, see,
You have to approve this
you
today
gotta approve
With
it.
the deficit.
with the next, today.
Okay? But hey, we didn't raise taxes.
Well, yeah.
Well, if you approve the budget the way it sits right here, yes, you did,
Yeah,
We raised it too.
52.
52 cents.
5-0.
Which is what we dropped it from 2 years ago. which for $100,000 house equals about $120 a year, $10 a month.
Okay, make a motion, we go ahead and pass the budget as was, all the numbers that were set up as of now.
I have a motion, do I have a second? All those in favor?
I think that just gets us to Johnson one.
But-
Any names?
Yeah, I'm voting no
This one.
on, so 3-2, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we have a choice, to be honest.
Well, there is choices.
I don't understand the choice.
Well, it would be, you know, other cuts throughout the budget. I mean, we're sitting here looking at bringing in, this is a small thing. You know, we had all this money in reserve last year. And you said yourself, we don't know where a lot of it is. Where's it at?
That money, Jamie, has nothing to do with the budget, has nothing to do with a budget.
It has everything to do because $400,000, you don't have a budget deficit all of a sudden.
So, did you have other suggestions? Okay.
Sandy, help me understand what he's saying. We're trying to do a budget, this is what you guys are saying, everybody's saying it's gonna cost us to keep the doors open next year, correct? It has nothing to do with all this, whether it's Socasa or it's dog park, it has nothing to do, it's just, this is what we have to do to keep the doors open, correct?
But it's a deficit.
Just like it was last year, only more so.
What he's saying is he wants to borrow from Peter to pay Paul to keep the budget, but there's no money left. There's nothing to borrow. 200,000 went to, streetlights, another 100,000 went to Socasa, another 121,000 went to last year's budget this year to balance it out. So you've got 500,000, boom, gone.
But my
Where's the other 500,000?
What? I've never seen $1 million in this town. Where's $1 million? You're talking about $1 million now. Where's $1 million?
Well, I know that we paid, Carl over 400,000.
Again, what does that have to do with this budget?
It
I
has.
understand your headhunting for me.
No, I'm
What
not
does it have to
headhunting for
do
you,
with this budget?
but we really should be headhunting for you if we want to do responsible things.
No, you've been headhunting for me for months.
But Jamie, what does that, I still understand what that has to do with the budget, this is.
I'm just saying, if you had that $400,000 you paid Carl, do you have a 281,000 deficit?
Only thing I can say is that there's nothing in front of us to do anything to do with that right now.
Yeah.
So what are you proposing that we do right now?
Without raising the taxes, you're not gonna cover this, I mean, you irresponsibly lowered it, that 12 cents in a bad economy, I don't know how many times I've got to say that.
Okay, we irresponsibly lowered those taxes because all the property value doubled.
They did not.
It did not double,
Okay,
Jamie.
you're sitting here.
They doubled in the gated
Yeah, they
communities.
doubled.
In the gated communities.
And
Mine didn't double.
when you're sitting, mine did too, and you're sitting here looking, and 4 of us are saying, and I'm sure if he looks, his did too, went up. Even though we lowered it to 40 cents, it went up from what it was. You heard him say that, she said that, I've said that. So actually, it was raised up a little bit anyway.
Can I ask you something, do things cost more now than they did last year? Yes or no, Jamie? Do
Well, I'm
things-
sure they do.
Okay, groceries, gas, the cost of whatever. whatever you
Absolutely,
choose.
everything,
Electricity,
groceries,
everything
electricity, and all that went up. So what we're gonna do is.
Is lower taxes again, is what you're gonna
No,
do?
is we're gonna raise taxes on the older people that live on fixed income.
What?
Hell no, you don't do that.
Jamie, what's your proposal that we do right now?
I think you sit down and you look at it and you cut and you cut and you go down to the bare minimum. And then you see, I think you get the audit. and see
Okay,
how
I'll
much-
give you proposals for cuts. Does anybody else have any
Yes,
other?
we just did that for
I
the
mean,
past hour.
if, honestly, can I just say something?
Yeah.
For the deficit that we have right now, the biggest place you could do is you can cut employees. Honestly, that's where you're gonna get that's where you're gonna get the biggest, so who's going first? I mean, that's not the way to do it, but,
Yeah.
you know, that's where every organization's biggest expense is, employees and benefits. And we already are tight in most, every department. I mean, you just brought me on, you want me to leave? You know, I don't wanna leave. I think you need a finance officer, but
I don't think you're gonna leave it.
We can take out the board member stipend.
Yeah,
Thank you. That
I'm
was
all
something I
for it.
said.
take out the what?
I said it 3 or 4 meetings ago that I'm for
Oh.
it, take out with stipend.
Stipend.
I said that 3 or 4 meetings ago, we'll take it, I'm good with that.
That's almost 10,000 so far. Counting tonight will be a little bit more, but there's another 10,000.
I went, my first term never took a dime. you know.
Dave hasn't had anything either.
Yeah.
Dave hasn't been paid either.
You taking your cut?
I'm not, I spent almost $2,200 on flags and another $2,200 on asphalt, so $11,000 last year. I'm trying to hide what I've spent this year on the town from my accountant. She's mad at me for trying to hide it from her. So no, the little old money I'm bringing in barely helping the scab that I've got. And by the way, I replaced the 22 flags. I knew y'all were gonna help, so I didn't get it. Well, I assumed that y'all wouldn't help. Yeah, of course, that's not,
Would you talk to him?
I'll send you an email.
Anybody else got any numbers?
I was being serious about the board member stipend.
I'll be serious, if you make a motion, I'll second.
Taxes are going up, so I'll make the money, but I'll do it.
Make a motion,
Okay, I make a motion that the board member stipend be removed from the budget.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Sure.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is that just all the board members? I just need clarification.
It's all of
Except
them.
Larry.
Except the mayor.
Except for the mayor.
Okay, sorry, change
I
that.
think we could cut his if we look.
I don't think we can at this point. I think you have to wait till election.
Next, what numbers? Something around.
Are we in a workshop, or are we in a?
We're still in the workshop.
Still in workshop, we're gonna start-
We still only have about, what, 180,000?
Do you want to,
Well,
yeah.
We took a vote to approve it with the deficit.
Yeah, but then we didn't have any, we didn't get to the point that we say nay, and then
Yeah, we did.
stop from there. Okay.
Yeah, we have 3-2.
Yeah, it was 3-2. You approved the budget as it sits.
Oh, that's right.
Right
These two,
now.
okay.
That was-
Now you're going back and doing something else. But you need to fully approve the budget, you have to go to the hearing, so.
Before we go to the hearing, should we, anybody else got any other numbers on there you want?
Hey, Chuck, you don't want, just said,
Do you-
we should keep cutting. What do you suggest we cut?
Well, I don't see how, if we're gonna take in 1,099,000, you know, I don't see how that isn't enough for a small town. And it's like you said it yourself, Mr. Mayor, you said groceries are going up, utilities are going up, the, gas is going up and all that. Well, the demographics of this town, there's a whole lot of retired folks that live on fixed income. Fortunately, I can still work, and the majority of this board here, all of us still work, including yourself.
Jamie, respectfully, he asked you what we should cut.
Well, I guess we need to put our heads together and figure it out.
What we've been doing the last hour and a half.
That's what we're trying to do.
So we just cut $12,000 more.
No, not 12,
Not quite.
because the mayor's keeping his.
Okay.
Neil, we have 3-2, right?
Yes.
So we can end this and go into.
Yes.
We need to reapprove after cutting the board member.
But before we do that, go to the hearing, and since there's a discussion, to go ahead and knock some other things out, what else you guys got? Some more here.
Line by line.
Bill, on page 2, under advertising, how much of that is?
It was 25 before that.
$3,000.
25, and it just said 10 approximately.
You can see the actual spent here.
I'm not gonna lay it.
That's with the,
Would we be able to survive by cutting?
Well, probably not.
No.
You have to run RFPs, you have in the paper, you have to charge.
So they come out of the public works budget, but we have job postings that come out of this budget. Anything related to any of the hearings that we have will come out of that budget.
Where are we at?
If, you adopt a zoning ordinance and somebody appeals a decision of the administrator, whoever that is, then that has to be advertised. If we have a planning board, the planning board needs to advertise.
I mean, could we cut it some, like 22?
Well, I mean, you cut it in half, which is what it was approved for. It was approved for 1,600, we went way over that. For unforeseen advertising costs.
Are we talking Department 420 advertising?
Yes.
Yeah, we spent $3,086 this year. That was also Indeed, thank you, Jessica. But we are not advertising, well, we are advertising. We did a smart thing for Public Works. We made it to where if the person applied and Gary read it and they didn't even have any of the qualifications, he rejected it back to Indeed, so we didn't have to pay for it, which is a good way of doing it, but yeah,
So we wanna cut that for now, 1,500?
Sure.
that's fine. So, that's 1.5. Okay, on top of that one.
On the time office, they just got raises.
Everybody got raises.
What about overtime? Where are we at on that?
There's no overtime in this budget. I'll just tell you that right now.
You don't actually program overtime.
Yeah, it's a hard, well, you can look at the prior year, but things change, but I didn't Bill and I didn't put any overtime in this one because I would prefer there not to be any overtime. Now, of course, Public Works and Police Department, that's gonna happen. So it's sort of like, I'm positive in the prior years, there was no overtime ever put in the budget. I couldn't find any when Lisa did hers either, and I'm like,
It's a hidden number. There is overtime, it just doesn't show up in the budget.
so.
Can we say no overtime?
So it should be, I would say no overtime for the admin staff and tag office, but you can't prevent that for Public Works and Police
I
Department.
understand that's me in public works.
But I did include in the Public Works water, wastewater, I did include their on-call hours, that wasn't in past budgets. I did include $5,069 because it's 9 hours every 2 weeks, so I figured that out and I threw that in their salaries.
Okay.
So that it would be
regular
covered.
employees and contract employees.
No overtime.
No overtime. If you do, say for instance, work overtime, if you get in 12 hours extra,
Yeah, Jessica and I talked about something today too, was that back when Tammy was here and I was here, when we had a board meeting, Tammy would just come in at noon, so I suggested that to Jessica, instead of her being here at 8 and staying till 8, 9 at 9, would she come in on board days at noon and then stay through, and then that way there wouldn't be any overtime.
yeah, or use it for another day.
Right.
When she has a doctor's appointment or some vacation, if she wants to leave early for vacation.
So you're approving comp.
Yeah, you have to be careful with comp time.
I'm approving, what we do is, if we work, which I'm exempt, but if I work over, then it's an hour over, so I can come in late the next day, or I can go to a doctor's appointment.
That's comp time.
Yeah, but sure, I get.
Yeah, you don't get paid for comp time.
It's not on the books. It's still technically, if you're being compensated the next day for something that you work, that's still comp.
No payment.
I'll have to read the Department of Labor laws on comp time and get back to you on that, because I think I was reading something a few weeks ago about that in government workers, so.
Okay.
Mike, you've gotta have the 6 guys.
Yes.
Tell me the schedules.
One day shift and one night shift on each shift.
That's 4.
Yes, and you got me here, I'm usually Monday through Friday.
Okay.
And then, once we get Dave turned loose, once we get back from the state, then Chris will go to work and split. with Cody, okay? And, you know, I've still got Laszlo, okay? I still come out with him, you know, if I need to.
You came out 3 in the morning the other day. but-
Yeah, I came out at like 10 o'clock and got home, left here at 3 o'clock. You know, and it worked out. Like, the reason I come in, we ended up finding what we were after, got him to deal. So, 6 guys right now, even with just 6 guys, we're stressing pretty thin. Like, I'm getting calls all the time. Hey, I've got this guy doing this over here, and we can't be everywhere 24/7.
Yeah.
You know, we're.
I understand.
You know, so even with what we've got, it's,
Plus you got court to do.
yeah,
Do you have reserves?
yes, we have reserves, but, you know, I can't make them work. You know, all I can do is offer it to them. And a lot of times, you know, all these guys that work in their reserve have a full-time job, so they don't necessarily wanna come on their days off.
Is that something we could possibly cut out, some reserves?
Well, so we don't work,
If they don't
Unless we
work, they
have
don't
to.
get paid, yeah.
yeah, if they don't work, they don't get paid.
Oh,
See, and that's part of the deal with having the 6th officer, so like Chris can float around, if
Yeah.
somebody needs to take off or sick,
yeah.
he can help cover the shift, and we don't have to have reserve work.
Gary would ask you, but you ain't got nobody to.
To axe.
No, I mean, I'll try and get out of here as soon as I can
Yeah,
today, keep overtime down, so.
Well,
Yeah.
Yes. From .40, which it was 2 years ago.
Question allowed.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
You don't seem to be tracking your overtime within your job categories. How do you determine at which point it's less expensive to hire another person than it is to continue paying overtime?
Our overtime's not that high. I mean, Gary right now is high, but normally, the officers have a little bit of overtime built into their schedule, the way it ends up at the end of the pay period, they have a little bit of overtime, but it's not an officer. So it doesn't equal our benefits and our salaries and our retirement and all that stuff. So we don't have, normally, we'll have overtime because we have a meeting tonight. But that's once a month, maybe twice a month that happens. So it doesn't justify, you know, putting in another position anywhere, really. Public Works, the reason we had 4 in there was we did utilities and public works. So 2 guys are out mowing, or 3 guys are out mowing, 1 guy's out fixing streets, or they're out, 2 guys are out replacing a meter, or 2 guys are doing something else. So that was just a way to balance everything, but that's still no overtime. So we've got an overtime now, but hiring a position to help cover that is gonna be a challenge.
Do you know what your monthly overtime expenses are?
We don't really track it that way, but we
So
can
for
run a report.
budgeting purposes, wouldn't you think it would behoove you to track your overtime?
I mean, we can run a report, I mean, it's not gonna be that high.
I know, well, you're talking about cutting overtime right now. You don't know how much you're really cutting.
Well, they're not cutting, they're just saying, don't do it. What, it ends up, you know, it ends up in payrolls where it ends up. We don't have we have a category in our paycheck that says overtime, we don't have a category here.
Yeah, I noticed, I looked at the budget online and there were a lot of subcategories that didn't have breakdowns within the categories.
Right.
So where
I
you
added-
knew,
I added in overtime last year, but we never did populate it, so it was like, why keep it in there and take up space? And, I mean, that's just, you know, it's just not the way the board thinks, and that's what counts, is that if they wanna absorb a little bit of overtime in a paycheck, an hour here, 2 hours there, whatever, that's fine. That doesn't mean they need to have an overtime line item. If they had expectation of overtime, let's say PD, they're a man down and they've got a man overtime every month, that ends up being, 2,400 hours of overtime a year, they need a line item in there to cover that. Public Works, I mean, now we put a line item in there, but, you know, it's just not worth tracking It's so low, it's not worth tracking.
This may have already been addressed. In your special events, I heard the number $9,000 for fireworks, is that correct?
They go by increments, 10, 15, 20, 25.
In cutting necessary services and cutting nice-to-have services, I would think that fireworks could go a lot more quickly than police officer time. There are other entities in town that do fireworks, or maybe you could collaborate with those other entities and reduce the amount of money that the town spends on fireworks. That's just a suggestion, but to me, fireworks are a frill and not a necessity.
We've already,
Well, it's 9,500, so.
Ms. Carey, that could be the most American thing I've ever heard of, talking about cutting out fireworks.
I understand that. My
And-
dogs
and-
would love it, but.
Yeah. Well, and my dogs too. I mean, I have to put the little thunder shirt on and,
Those
but,
two.
But when you think about something as important as police officer time or public or water and sewer time versus fireworks. You
surely
got
nobody's
30
gonna,
minutes, boom, boom, and everybody says, oh, those were nice, bye-bye. That's how my mind works.
yeah, but I don't think anybody up here is proposing we cut a police officer so we keep fireworks.
But it is a big part of it.
It is.
And I have a little
Well,
thing.
what services is the town providing? We don't do trash pickup, we don't,
I know.
we have police officers that, come out, and one day a year, only one day a year, we do, loud bangs and booms and bright lights to, make everybody smile and appreciate that we're not, living in the Gaza Strip,
for
so.
15 minutes.
And I
15
think it's
minutes.
beautiful,
Yeah.
but
I mean, I appreciate what you're saying, but that's just.
Sandy, do you have something?
No, and I was just gonna say, for the future, maybe for FY 25, that would be 24, 20, 25, 26, we could say, collaborate with Big Mike's and say, hey, let's all get together and have let's have an entertainment, let's have an events committee.
He
Put
actually-
it
he
together
actually-
in lots of time and,
He actually wants to.
yeah, and we could we could save money that way. We could say, go halvesies with him or something and say, that way it would help split the costs. So we
That's
could
why I was
collaborate
asking
in a
over
future.
fireworks, because Mike was asking why we put them all at the same spot. Fireworks.
I mean,
Personally, I like the way you're thinking. I don't disagree with Jared, but I also think that's smart management. So,
For this year, do you think?
and unfortunately, under the circumstances, you have to look at what you have, and if, you ain't got gas in your car, you can't go to the grocery store. So,
It's already paid for.
Is that right?
Is it already paid for this year?
pay
Yes.
for this year.
We paid
No,
half.
I mean,
We've
haven't
paid
it.
half, and the other half I was going to process this week because it has to be done before 4th of July.
Yeah, that's how you.
That's how the contract is written. Remember, they're under a contract, so we have to be careful with contracts.
Thinking about, there's less than 700 citizens in this town. We're paying about $130 per citizen for fireworks. If my calculation's all right.
well, I'm gonna agree with those numbers, and I'll tell you another thing that I personally agree with. I think some of the things that we do with food trucks nights, sorry, Christie, I think they've done a great job with it, but I don't know that it actually does anything for the residents of Newell. I think it brings a lot of people into the county.
Yep.
Philip Barrett's all pro on it. He won't put any money into the county, into Newell, and
No.
he's all for it, but it actually what it does is it takes some business away from the restaurants in town. And also what it does is when you go somewhere today, it's just some food for thought, and you go to buy a food truck, and you spend $30 for you and your spouse for 2 meals. You probably spent part of what you're gonna spend somewhere else this week. So you not only lose the sales for that night, you lost sales for another day at another restaurant in town. So you're actually losing 2 days. That's
So,
something to think about.
based
In
on-
today's market, we're down. Food business is down big time. And people talk about my pricing, and they'll go pay $15 for a sandwich at a food truck. So I know that they don't have money here, and they don't have money elsewhere.
Back to the,
I think the farmer's market's bringing in money.
yeah, back to the
I agree with
fireworks. Back to the fireworks, it's actually based, if we had, I'm just basing it on 700 citizens, it's $13.57 a citizen for fireworks.
What,
$9,500 divided by 700 citizens is $13.57 a person.
13, okay, I had my zero.
Yeah, that was like 90.
That's why I said it,
That's
that
not, 90,
calculation.
that's like 90,000.
I
You're
failed
official
high
under
school
ag.
math.
Me too, me too.
Well, fireworks is moved this year, we can come back to it next year.
Yeah.
You know, there's another way to do that though also. I mean, you can talk to business centers. I mean, the New England Business Association used to have concerts that were sponsored. That banner that's up on that stage is what, 12 years old now?
Yeah, it's
And
gone.
it's got businesses in town that help sponsor those type of things. So, you know, you might be able to go to, and there's some corporate businesses in town that can probably put some money into some of those things. I mean,
I know we did Carolina Water Service.
So just to clarify,
Like those people.
the 2024 numbers for population are 723. The average age is 48, not
Yeah.
60 or 65. And the poverty rate is only 13%, 12.9.
Okay, where are we at? We've been here for a while.
what's that?
Top items, we approve the deficit and,
Y'all trying to read the deficit? Read it. It's gonna be the same vote. So go ahead,
And John,
and then we'll go into the public hearing.
It makes things go faster. The budget's approved to go to the hearing, add in the, change for the stipend and approve it there.
let's go with that then.
And whatever other change. There were a couple other changes.
Yeah, there was some other.
Yes.
Okay, so I make a motion to close the budget.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
And may I please ask, when you go into the hearing, when you tell me these amounts to take out, let's make sure I'm with you, because I think I missed one
That's fine.
or two. So I'm trying to, but because I get questions and,
will it help you hearing wise if you come up here? You can sit here and be the attorney.
no, you bite.
Not very often.
Buy him back.
Okay, so are we in the public hearing?
Open public hearing.
Now we're opening a public hearing for the town of Newland, for 6/18,
For budget.
for budget.
So you can have discussion, or you can just make a motion to approve and start listing out changes.
Was anyone out there, you were going back and forth for Sandy, do you have any?
I was trying to keep up with the cuts.
Yeah.
But there's no way to get all those cuts that y'all made. There's absolutely none. You can't get 281,000 cuts.
So what's the remedy?
Well, as I understand, this budget of 410 is with an increase to move the taxes back to where it was, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And who's has a problem with that so far? You two. You haven't given solid answers based on what you just said. Nobody likes tax raising, I detest it.
Okay, well, the solid answer was, is when we moved it back, the county doubled the value on your home. The property value, the
My
appraisal.
taxes didn't double,
My taxes went up $14.
yeah.
Yeah,
They
mine was-
weren't.
mine was-
Maybe I'm lucky.
and that was with the 40 cents.
We're not trust fund babies, a lot of us here.
I
We don't have money.
I'm not
I don't
trust
have
fund baby.
money.
I talked to the county,
Me either.
Newland's average increase was 33%.
Well, then how come everybody's taxes, let's ask the citizens. Sir, did your taxes go up?
Just a couple dollars. No, they didn't go.
And that's after the decrease. It just-
After the decrease.
Yeah,
It
after
just,
the
it still,
decrease,
it went up
$14.
a $14 increase on her a year.
No, for the year.
For the
Yeah.
year, a free $14 increase for the year. Did yours go up?
About 20%.
Okay, with the decrease. Okay, mine went up. He's saying his
My
went
house
up.
doubled in value.
Her, and these two saying they went up, so,
Dang, you almost have nice
Yeah.
houses.
No, I
Tell me
don't,
somebody
I
else.
don't, no,
no.
you
Cause
know
mine-
how it is.
Mine didn't go up. I'd be calling them and say, why did mine go up?
Well,
I know the
because
percentage
of the
mine
time.
went up about $500.
Really?
The value of your house or your taxes?
That's actually,
Yeah.
give me a second, now, I don't know if it's, so, you know.
I'm gonna look all these up. I'm just curious. I'm gonna look up y'all's stuff.
No, I
No, I'm
don't
curious.
know if that's county,
I'm just, I'm OCD.
I just know
about
that my escrow went up that much.
Oh, your escrow,
So-
yeah, that's
so-
yeah, that's.
but now the
yeah.
county lowered theirs too to meet the evaluation.
Okay, so, but my money went up, pay more, so.
I'm curious somewhere.
But I think
Research.
we've asked every citizen in here, and I think,
Well,
y'all
I think
even said yours went up, right, Mr. Teresa?
It did, it went up, but it
Okay.
wasn't big, it wasn't, it was more than
Yeah, you gotta listen to
$14
what you're
last
saying.
year.
Yeah, we were trying to keep it to what it was the year before.
They
Right.
felt sorry because it's a 1945 house.
So, I mean, you know,
That might be
because,
why mine didn't go up.
Well, that was 1981.
Sorry.
By the way, I'm using my calculator, not the phone. Where we at?
In my drink. It's just iced tea, but I really just.
You're my drink.
see, I had my son with me this fall.
I really wanted it to be a margarita, but then I forgot I'm working. I'm good.
I'm glad you said that. I know that liquor by the drink's going on the ballot. How much is that gonna bring in?
If we share with the other three, communities that are already getting the money, it's approximately $162,000.
Millions.
Yeah.
Because we're not big enough to have our own ABC board.
Right.
So.
If we did, it'd be a totally different story,
Right.
but. we'd have
It'd be
to
a lot more than that.
So we'll get how much?
I took the profits that they shared with Banner Elk, Beach Mountain, and Sugar for 2023, and they got about $213,000 apiece. So if you divided it by 4, we get about $162,000 each
Well, with
community.
with that in mind, putting aside what your personal opinion is about liquor by the drink, I think everyone sitting on this board should be out there
Encourage the citizens to
encouraging
vote for
your
it.
friends to vote for liquor
I'm
by the
hanging wild
drink.
turkey banners next month.
Because this town is broke.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's your option.
Pardon me?
It's voter's option, you can either pay more taxes.
I'm sorry, I still can't
It's a
hear you.
voter's option, they can either pay more taxes or they can, pass that. If they don't wanna pass it, then
Yeah, give them a higher than 52 cents, though.
Okay.
$1.
I think it needs to be.
Committee, we get rolling, please?
Tell me what you want to cut, whatever y'all, you want me to go back over what I have and you tell me that,
Yeah, you.
would that be okay?
You probably got good pencils, go ahead.
Well, the first one I have is.
Quickly, Sandy.
Come on. The first one I have is this, board member stipend, everyone except the mayor. I wrote down 9,900, but I'll make sure the mayor's gets put back in there.
Now,
The next one I have is
dog park was
5,000 under 420-54005, minor equipment, taking it down to 5,000, which is a $5,000 savings. The next one is repairs and maintenance, just under that, taking it from 20 to 15 for a $5,000 savings. The next one is advertising, taking it down to 1.5K for a 1.5K savings. The next is events and grants,
Since I
taking it
don't know
to
how to
4,
carry a decimal.
taking it from 20 to 15,000 for 5 decrease.
It's still a lot of
The
money,
next
though.
one is page 3 at the top, miscellaneous
But you
expense,
gotta have it.
taking 5,000 down to 2.5 for a 2.5 savings.
I think he's gone.
Oh,
I think.
I'm going back to the PD.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, thank you. Okay, PD what?
I heard 7 and 6, I don't know what the
7%, which is a negative 28.12.
So 7% instead of an 8% increase?
What would they do?
That'll help, thank you. Because that'll also, sorry, I'm purely going from a police, a finance officer point of view, so that will also bring down payroll taxes, group insurance, North Carolina retirement, and also the 401k contribution. Those are based upon percentages. Okay, so 7% on that.
$3,000.
How much, Dave?
I don't know, and it's 28 without it, so probably 3,000 with it.
I'll figure, okay. Sorry. Back up to page 3, 510, 56075 miscellaneous expense, taking 5,000 down to 2.5 for a 2.5 savings. The next one is in public works, operating supplies, 7,000, taking it down to 4 for a 3,000 savings. The next one is miscellaneous expenses for public works, from 10,000 to 5,000 for a $5,000 savings. Am I going too fast?
Just keep.
Which one was
I'll
it?
copy.
Did we miss the street
Street
improvements?
improvements?
We dropped it from 75 to 65.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Is that it?
80.
So 75 to 65 for 5,000.
Yes.
Thank you, sorry, I didn't hear that.
No, it's okay.
And what's the next one?
I'm sorry, you're right, Jamie, 10,000, slap me. It's been a long day.
You're doing too good.
Okay, now, page 4, you two behave.
I'm getting slack.
Miscellaneous
Sorry.
expense from 10,000 to 5,000 for a $5,000 savings. And that's all that I have.
That's it.
Okay, yep, that's it.
I'll let you know.
And I just want to ask, in the cap, which is not part of your total, you want no capital improvements this year, correct? Because we'll zero it out as the approved number. I got one yes.
I think we don't have a choice at the moment because we don't have the money for it.
What are we?
Two yeses.
On page 5, Keenan,
Cut
the
all the capital.
Page 5.
capital project,
For the bottom.
171,000
Yes, I'm in.
unfunded.
Yes, okay. All right.
I got
That's just-
49,500.
that's just a book.
What you got, Dave?
49,500. 9,500.
I'll figure it tomorrow.
Okay,
Two
yeah.
times the money.
I mean, just for today,
And when I'm there, do that.
And how much did you say if it flickered by the drain? How much did you say it flickered by the drain?
162,000 is what I figured based upon 2022 and 2023, profits.
And then plus if we get the hotel tax, that's another what, 132?
I don't know about that one, I don't know what they're.
Nobody knows that we're gonna get for sure.
Well, and the hotel tax is a little bit down the road.
Still laying the
It's a little bit down the road, plus the, liquor by the drinks, not in November.
I know the
Election's in
situation.
November.
Right.
We even know this to be on this year's election, you confirm that?
Well, it will be.
Yeah.
She said it wouldn't get on there.
Yeah, we can get on. We just have to-
I guess I need to ask that too, we need to find out from, that is something that we need to find out from the election board, how much they're gonna charge us.
Yeah,
Cause that's an expense that I don't know
she's
yet.
doing calculations, I got a meeting with her tomorrow, so.
Well, hell,
Cause we don't have it on here, so.
Yeah.
just for today, and then we'll have, can we take out 3375 bonuses?
Oh, that's right, the bonuses are in here.
Yeah, y'all said $250 each,
Yeah,
down from
and I think I
500
added
each.
it up to 3375.
Yeah, just take
Just take it for
7,
for today.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12 employees times 250. 3,000.
3,000 even?
Yeah, because it's 12 employees, is that correct? 6 in the police department?
I was going down.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
I was doing half. You
200.
had 125.
I thought it was 500 apiece.
It
Well,
was,
it was
you guys
originally-
voted to make it 250.
We had a conversation earlier on, and you guys wanna reduce it.
Let's do a gift card to the movie theater.
You can't give gift card.
It's taxable.
You can.
It's taxable.
Taxable.
It's taxable to the employee.
The
gift
PD
cards,
got
just
gift
like the
cards for
bonuses are.
National Law Enforcement Day,
The government, the IRS.
Not to the movie theater, though.
not to the new kid.
I went through that in my last job. So take out the bonuses, yes or no? For today.
We did a budget.
Yes,
Take out the
yes.
bonuses.
We did the whole thing.
Question?
Hold on, Bill, I'm talking to the Swami here. I warn you, we did a budget. And that's what we proposed.
As of right now, unless it's changed, I mean, is this the last hearing? Is that correct?
Bill, pay attention.
To what, Mom?
He was trying, and you made it.
He was trying to get part of council?
I'm
As of right now, the budget's where it stands right now, correct?
Yes, with the changes that you asked for. And now the addition, if you'll agree. the
So
addition-
the meeting on the first, or whatever,
So
second.
your regular meeting's on the second. So you'll see that budget before then. We'll get it
Right,
updated.
and there is
sent back out to
another
you.
budgetary hearing at that meeting.
Well, you can schedule it. You can't have it unless you want me to schedule it now.
Hey, didn't we take out that part-time help too?
Yeah,
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
well, that's
I think
just for
so.
her work until the end of July. She's gone at the end of July.
You don't need her? I mean,
Well, yes, but she's gone. She's on my elevator.
Yeah, she's gone at the end of July.
So is it still in there?
Yes.
Okay, so we can pull that out, at least budgetary wise, unless you pick somebody out.
Yeah, I mean, her last day could be June 30th.
Oh, yeah, the 1,300 was just to cover 1 month of her and the other
I don't-
guy that does the
Just leave it in there.
savings.
You're not gonna- So, yeah, probably we need to go ahead and look at doing a hearing prior to the meeting day. Is that something we need to put on now?
Well, you can, you're in a hearing, so you can, it's an official meeting, so you can schedule another hearing from this hearing at a date specific. So, you know, date, time specific, or you can wait, cause we'll have the audits done, we won't have a report back from the LGC by the time it gets here.
The LGC won't even accept the auditor's letter of engagement for 22-23 until they have the 21-22 report in their hand.
Yes.
So there's another holdup there, we can't even, the letter of engagement, she was here, she did some work, the letter of engagement was signed by everybody that was supposed to sign it, but the LGC will not accept it until she turns in that 21-22 audit. They sent us an email and said.
She's
yeah.
completed the field work, she's
Yes, and she's
finishing
rushing.
up the paperwork and then packaging and sending it. And she's actually already sent it up there, it's already hit the system, but
It takes
she
them a
hasn't
while.
followed up with all the pieces that they need, the evidentiary pieces they need. Then she sends the letter of engagement, she sends that in, and in the meantime, she's completing last year's audit. And then she'll do her number crunching, which she did a lot of on her vacation.
Yes.
And then she will send that in as a package, and then that will hit the system. Then she'll do a letter of engagement for this coming year, if you guys choose to.
So should we plan on doing another hearing before, or prior to the next meeting at 5 o'clock, or just in case anything else needs to be gone over?
You can, because you can always not do the hearing if you're satisfied with the directive or everything, but, it's always better to set up.
But if you don't, then,
Yeah, it's always better to have a hearing set.
right, you can't make any changes.
Set a hearing, 5 o'clock, July 2nd.
July 2nd.
So,
So in your motions to approve the budget, let's keep them separate from motion to hold a public hearing to, you know what I mean? So do 2 motions,
We'll do whatever he does.
or just cleaner.
Except for raising taxes.
Yeah,
So we need to make a motion to approve this as is.
with the changes, so you approve this budget as presented with the changes. Okay, And then, once you approve that, then another motion to set a public hearing, a budget hearing for July 2nd at 5 p.m.
I make a motion to approve the budget as is.
No, as presented with the changes.
Okay, I make a motion to, accept the budget as presented with the changes.
I have a motion, to second, that's, we'll talk county education for you.
Hey,
We all have our copies.
I need a second. Ms.
You
Gill.
too.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a good evening.
All those vote?
Wait,
Whoa,
one more
whoa.
motion. You have two things left, so the second motion to set a budget hearing for.
Second motion, to set a budget hearing.
You have to ask for the nays on the budget approval.
Can I have the nays on the budget approval?
No,
No.
Okay.
now,
Okay, that's a double negative. Can y'all just say nay? Make me feel better.
No, budget hearing.
Now, I need a motion to set a budget meeting on 5 o'clock on July 2nd.
Hearing.
Hearing.
I make a motion to have a, budget hearing on the 2nd at 5.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I make a note? The no's, they didn't have any other options to go ahead and approve that, so.
Oh, we had a lot of other options.
You didn't
Oh, I said.
Motion to close the hearing.
I need a motion to close the hearing.
Make a motion.
All those say, favor say aye.
Thank
Don't listen.
I agree with all the other stuff that we need to do at the beginning, because it's money then.
how's it going?
Not great.
Man, I like those big alliums your mother has down there.
They're gorgeous. Unfortunately,
They were
they're-
gorgeous.
They're done blooming, so yeah,
Yeah.
we cut them down.
I try to grow from here, and my wife's put in so much other stuff, it's just crowding them out.
Right. Yeah,
Anyway,
you'll have that.
yep.
yeah, we need some of that. Wow, that's just. This is the biggest cluster still, it is kind of heavy.
Well, when y'all get this one?
Gary, will you shut that video off?
With who?